I'm a pirate, but not the Somalian kind. I'm an internet pirate, meaning I download movies and TV shows and video games once in a while without paying for them. Now, you may think this is wrong, and I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. So, before we continue, I only think that piracy is not wrong when limited to personal use, meaning when I'm not making money from it. So these are the 3 most used pirating sites in the world: the Pirate Bay, EasyTV, and Kick-Ass Torrents. The Pirate Bay owner actually just got sentenced to like 25 years in prison for just running this website. They took about 5 years to catch him.
Because it's wrong.
That kind of done. And we'll go into that. We'll go into that. So first of all, I'll just kind of go into like why it's not stealing. And then I'll go into a couple of reasons of why people do torrent and pirate, and then I'll just close after that. So, first of all, it's free exchange of content. So many consider it stealing, even though stealing implies that the original owner loses the stolen object, which is not the case when downloading things. Theft implies taking something that belongs to someone else, and then by copying something, you're not taking something. You're just copying it. So you're just producing a duplicate, in essence. So it's not theft in the sense of going to a store and stealing an album or stealing someone's bicycle. You're just duplicating. All right. Free exchange of content is a cultural net positive. And what I mean by that is that if you consider each individual as a vehicle for the advancement of knowledge and art, one could argue that the society that best enables its members to explore content is the one that progresses the farthest. So, as you can see, like advancement of knowledge and art and progression. So you might feel that the cultural benefits fail to justify the reduced income of content creators. But I think that when people say you're taking money from people, you're underestimating how much money they really lose, and you underappreciate the impact art has on society overall. So let's look at why people pirate. All right, delayed content in different regions. So some production studios and software companies delay the availability rather than blocking access to it. Some people don't have the patience to wait till the content actually arrives in their region. For example, my friends in Russia can't get movies sometimes for like up to a year after they've come out. But with pirating, sometimes they come out with movies before they come out in the US even. So benefits there. So people end up pirating TV shows or movies on torrent websites basically because they just don't want to wait. A workaround is just virtually teleporting basically to a region like United States and using a VPN connection to watch like Netflix in the US. Netflix sadly has started blocking VPNs. So so are people forced to basically, people are forced to torrent instead of paying Netflix with a VPN. All right, not available in the region. This is a major rationale with why many people head to torrent websites with an intention to pirate software or other things, mostly in the case of movies and TV shows. Some of the content restricted in the region altogether. For example, in China, they can't get access to Netflix altogether. And people don't want to be deprived of content that they feel they should be able to pay for. So that's why they just turn to pirating. Because in a way, it's a form of discrimination. So if a friend says, hey, there's this TV show about a fight for a throne, and there's some scenes that you might like, and there's a lot of like war going on, and a lot of drama, he or she would immediately go, oh yeah, I might want to watch that. And then they go on to, say, Showtime or HBO. I can't say the name of the show, I guess. And then the person finds out it doesn't air in their country or the region. And so they're just going to turn to pirating altogether because they want to feel accepted and they want to feel included in like your life and the interests that you possess. All right, cannot afford it. This is one of the biggest arguments why people pirate, and it's true. I'm one of those people that I pirate partly because I can't afford it. I'm a broke college student. I cannot afford $800 copy of Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Premiere Pro. The motivation for such pirate, such as me, lies in the distribution system of the content creators. For example, a particular TV show might be exclusive to cable networks, but a person is having Netflix or a Hulu plan. He or she might not go for a cable subscription just to watch a single show. If you want to do that, you would spend a lot of money just watching things that you enjoy. And finding a torrent website such as EasyTV is much easier, which is for TV shows, by the way, so you should check it out. The crappy payment system set up by online stores and streaming services like Apple iTunes and Netflix also adds to the misery of people watching things that they enjoy. These services often require a credit card, and they're not very supportive of a debit card. Quite a good portion of population in the United States and worldwide does not have credit card. They have debit cards or cash or prepaid cards of some sort. Lastly, they want to try before they buy it, and that's also one of the biggest arguments for why people are pirating. Sorry, one second. Okay, so since let's take an example of video games. Most games lack demos, right? And you can't tell by just looking at a game what some minimum recommended specs for the game is, or if they even would run on your computer. So a lot of people download it, and if they like it, they'll buy it eventually. I've known people who aren't quite convinced a game is worth it altogether, or if they don't know if their computer could handle it. And so they play for a few hours, and then they decide to buy it or not to buy it. All right, and then we go into like the counter argument. Piracy is a theft, and it is not victimless. So people say that when you download something such as a movie, the owner loses out on the revenue. So these artists lose on money. I don't believe this to be universally true for two reasons. First, that after you're done watching something, you're more likely to tell your friends about it, such as Game of Thrones, and they're more likely to go watch it and generally buy it. So in a way, you're increasing their revenue by word of mouth. Second, if you pirate something and the owner loses revenue, then how does borrowing from a library or borrowing something from a friend is not pirating? It's basically you're doing the same thing. You're just lending someone that medium. All right, so most people pirate things for two reasons, the major reasons that we discussed. One is that they can afford to pay it, or they wouldn't have otherwise bought it in the first place. So for those who would not otherwise have bought the pirated material, this cannot be counted as a lost sale, because they would not have bought it in the first place. Likewise, someone who could not afford the item would not have bought it anyway, so it's also not a loss of sale. You could argue that someone who could not otherwise have bought something, or who can't afford it, should not get it for free, but that is a different argument. So basically, the grounds on which the piracy is wrong, that it costs people money, and that lack of revenue is harmful to the industry is irrelevant. And that's it.